Thank you all very much for coming today, this morning, this evening, wherever it is in your world. I guess it looks like it's new in our world here. I'd like to welcome you, first of all, to our little experiment here in Second Life. In real life, my name is Don Lattin, and I'm a writer. Unlike most people in Second Life, I have the same name and the same job in the real world and in Second Life. Don Lattin, writer. Maybe I suffer from a virtual lack of imagination. I do have some fantasies, but I'm not going to share them with you at the moment. Before we get rolling, though, let me apologize in advance for any Second Life faux pas I make during my presentation. Especially since there's an echo in my ear right now, so it's a little hard to talk. Anyway, I'm a stranger in this strange land, having only heard about the place a couple months ago, and having only logged on in a few hours of flying time so far. But we've been hanging around on the island for nearly a week now, showcasing the work of a team of journalists from the Graduate School of Journalism at the University of California at Berkeley. We're exploring God, sex, and family. We chose that title for two reasons. First of all, we wanted to get your attention, and we also think that that's where many choices are made about marriage, dating, the building of community, family, and faith, how all that plays out in our private life. So you can see our work as it unfolds over the next week. A lot of new things will be posted on our website, which is www.News21Initiative.org, and the Berkeley students' work is at /UCB. God, Sex, and Family projects are being streamed with video and audio, our content, into tents created to look and feel something like a church revival. We've got some tents like, for instance, a piece of My Brother the Christian by one of our students, a moral compass, and something we're calling the Data Road Trip, which will be up in a more complete form in a few days. So we're basically highlighting stories and interactive infographics, all projects that have been created by the fellows here in our News21 project. News21 is a national initiative led by 5 leading universities, Berkeley, USC, Columbia, Northwestern, and Harvard, funded by the Carnegie and Knight Initiative on the future of journalism education. My colleague at the School of Journalism, Bob Kalo, and myself have been leading the Berkeley effort. Actually leading may not be the right word. Bob and I have been hanging out with 12 recent graduates, all of them very smart and tech-savvy, more so than we are, and learning how to operate in the strange new world of virtual journalism. We've gathered here on Nowhere Island for a panel discussion on religion and on the internet, and more specifically, on religion in Second Life. We'll be looking at how people experience spirituality in Second Life, things like prayer, evangelism, proselytizing, community life, how those things are different in Second Life and real life. There's a series of questions we want to look at, and we'll get to those later. But let me just start out now by giving you a little information on our format. Our plan is to give each of the panelists maybe 2 or 3 minutes to talk about their ministry, their life, their work, their play, whatever they want to call it, here in Second Life. And then I'll ask some questions to get the discussion going. There'll be a question and answer period at the end of the event. Please make sure you hold your questions until then. Please send those questions to Kara Andrade, writer, the UC Berkeley fellow and mastermind of this entire operation. And if everything works right today, and don't blame me if it doesn't, this event is being broadcast live on SL to RL via the Second Life cable network. So people don't have to log into Second Life to listen and participate. Okay, so we have quite a distinguished panel of speakers, mostly from Second Life, but we have a few real-lifers here joining us today, too. Maybe it'd be best if we'll just start to my far left, and maybe Tom Bukowski can just give a few words, introduce himself, and just briefly what his work is in Second Life. Tom?
Sure. Can you hear me okay? I'm just checking to see if you're able to hear me okay. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes.
Okay, good. Hopefully you can hear me okay. My name is Tom Belstorff in the actual world, and I'm a professor of anthropology at a different University of California, University of California, Irvine. And I've been in Second Life now for over 3 years studying virtual culture. I have a book coming out with Princeton University Press early next year called Coming of Age in Second Life, in which I look at the emergence of virtual culture, specifically in Second Life. And one thing that I've been very interested in these last 3 years has been the growth of forms of religious practice in Second Life and how that relates to the larger picture. Because just like in the actual world, and I don't like using real life, I talk about the actual world, religion is always part of a larger social context. And that's true in Second Life as well. And so to understand religion in Second Life, we need to think about broader cultural practices in Second Life and how they are drawing upon various kinds of actual world cultures. And I'll just leave it up there for now, but thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you, Tom. Beth, would you like to say a few words about Judaism on the internet and your work specifically?
Sure. Hi. In real life, my name is Beth Brown. In Second Life, my name is Beth Odette. I created the first synagogue in Second Life called Second Life Synagogue, Temple Beit Israel, back in September of 2006, the beginning. And it has evolved into a full-fledged Jewish community of people looking to reconnect, to learn about Judaism, non-Jews. Everybody is welcome. We have, on that area, we host a wide range of groups. We've got a version of the Israel Western Wall, the Kotel. There's a live music venue, To Life, which is actually a Jewish magazine in Second Life. There's also a mikvah and meditation station, the synagogue itself. On the activities that we provide there are on Fridays we do ceremonial candle lighting 5 times throughout the day, so that people understand that this is not a replacement for real life religion, but an enhancement. That's how we look at it from our group. And on Thursdays, we do have a discussion on the Torah portion of the week, and then various holiday events. And it's been an incredible growth experience for me to watch this community blossom and all these amazing people come and get involved, to the point where we have a newspaper and just all kinds of amazing things are happening. And Second Life is an incredible vessel for that, and so I appreciate you.
Okay, Beth, thank you. Let's skip over across Kara for the moment and hear from Muhammad, our representative from the Muslim community. Muhammad?
Yes. I'm called Mohammed Yusuf Vikinger, and in real life my name is Mohammed Yusuf Vide. I'm a psychiatrist, 64 years old, have 1 wife with 3 children and 3 grandchildren. I embraced Islam 20 years ago, and when I read in the newspaper in Sweden about Second Life, I joined there, and soon enough I saw there were building, it was a mosque building there, so I joined the mosque and spent much time there and met Muslims that has come to Second Life. We try to build up a community. We have a membership of 150, but it's not all of them that are active. and we have no imam or leader in any way, just owners of the groups. And we talk together about our work and what we feel about it. So I'm happy to be here and try to explain Islamic way of life and in which way we use the virtual world and Second Life to express our religious feelings.
Good. Well, thank you very much, Mohammed. Salam alaikum. Our next panelist is someone who has probably spent less time than I have on Second Life. In real life, she is Lisa Fulham. She's a professor of sexual ethics at the Jesuit School of Theology in Berkeley. And she's just learning about this strange world of yours here. But she's also, I guess, the only Christian we have on the panel. So I'm glad that she was able to join us. You just want to say a few things about what your impressions of this so far, Lisa?
Sure, thanks, Don. As you said, this is absolutely brand new to me. I'm just still learning how to walk, how to fly, and how not to stumble into things with mixed success so far. As Don said, I teach sexual ethics. I also teach fundamental moral theology, just introductory ethics for seminary students. We train students both for ministry and also for academia. So I'm fascinated with this new world and how people meet each other, how they interact, and what effect this has on people's faith lives in the real world, and what real world faith life has shaped their life in Second Life. So again, I'm delighted to be here. One more thing about my work is I'm very interested in virtue ethics, which is a form of ethics that starts with character, that starts with what kind of people are we and what kind of people do we want to become, which of course is central to how people live in Second Life as well as in real life. So again, thanks for having me here. I'm delighted to be here.
Good. Thank you. Thank you very much, Lisa. We're glad you're here. Next, we have Frank Corleone, who is with the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, otherwise known as the Hare Krishnas. And the Hare Krishnas have quite a large presence here in Second Life. So we want to talk a little bit about that, Franco?
Sure. Thanks, Don, and thanks for the opportunity to be a part of this gathering. Well, yes, in Second Life, my name's Franco Corleone, and in the real world, my name's Frank Scott. I'm a technology futurist here in Australia. I've been a Hare Krishna devotee for just over 35 years, and part of my devotional service with the movement is to create multimedia applications and multimedia displays for use by both the community and the public at large. In the past, our community's basically done quite a bit on the World Wide Web, webcasting, net radio and things like that. When Second Life came into being, we looked at it and decided, yes, this is an environment that we can really do some good with. And as such, back around November of last year, we began planning to create a presence in Second Life. And now we have an area of roughly 25,000 square metres. We have 24-hour audio lectures. We have live broadcasts from the Los Angeles Temple morning and evening. We have video classes. We have 500 audio lectures on demand, and about 80 to 90 devotees that regularly attend services here in Second Life. And basically, I think that Second Life has been a real boon for us, a real boon. Currently, we have a traffic on our area of roughly 3,000 every day. So we've been quite successful in our venture in Second Life.
Good. Thank you very much, Franco. And last but not least, and I misspoke before when I said we only had one Christian on the panel, Otent Paderborn, He is of the Quaker faith, and which is of course a Christian religion. So we have two Christians on the panel, not one. And O10th, what are you up to here in Second Life?
Well, this is Kenneth Sutton. I'm the typist for O10th, and I'm a part of two communities of faith in Second Life. For most of the last 20 years, I was very active Quaker in leadership roles, including being senior editor of Friends Journal, a monthly magazine. But now my only Quaker involvement is in Second Life, where I decided to go looking for other Quakers and found a couple and created a group. And within a few months, there are quite a few of us. And we have worship once a week. And my experience of the worship, and I think that of most of the people who attend, is that it is real worship by virtue of the fact that we're turning our hearts and minds toward God and to one another. And the fact that we're separated in space, I don't think is as important as what we are inwardly turning our hearts to. I'm also the managing editor for UU World magazine, which is published by the Unitarian Universalist Association. And so I also attend the worship that the UUs have here in Second Life on Thursday evenings. They also have services on Saturday mornings early in order to make it easier for Europeans to participate. And they're much larger than the Quakers in numbers. And there again, I think that many of the people who attend those services also feel that by virtue of where we are placing our attention, we are creating and engaging in something real. Thank you.
Good. Well, good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Before we move on to some questions and discussions, I don't know about you, but my back's hurting a little bit from sitting in this position, so I think I'm going to stretch if we all want to stretch. Well, my stretch button isn't working. Oh, well, okay. Anyway. Let me start out with a question about interfaith relations in Second Life. To my right, we have Muhammad, and to my left, we have Beth. Of course, we all know in the real world, in the actual world, there's a lot of tension between people of the Jewish faith and Muslims. I wanted to ask both of you, how is that situation different or the same in Second Life or in the real world? Is there interfaith dialogue going on in Second Life?
Mohammed Yusuf. Is it okay I start?
Go ahead, yeah.
Yes. Well, it's true that in real life it's some difficulties between Israeli sympathizers and Muslims. But what I have met in Second Life is very much more friendly style, and we have in our group a person, Don Farrow, who is working with interreligious connections, and he is member of all the different religious groups, Catholics, the Jews, and Protestants, and so we have no problem, I think, that way. But of course we haven't discussed it very deeply. Not, I haven't. And but we have more problem with National Front in France and racists and National Socialists who come and disturb us in our discussions.
Ah, interesting. Beth?
I agree wholeheartedly. This has been a very positive experience as far as the relations. And also, as Muhammad Yusuf said, attributed to somebody named Drown Pharaoh, who came to me in the beginning, and we became friends. And we have a very, very strong, good connection between the Jewish and Muslim community in Second Life. I think part of that is because here, I mean, there is a difference between the two worlds. And in this world, we don't have some of the issues that we have to deal with in the first life. So not all of us in first life, you know, have problems relating with each other to begin with. But I agree with Mohammed Yusuf in the sense that, you know, we haven't gotten into the deep discussions about it, but I think we really try and stay away from it because we want to set an example and show how we can be peaceful and communicate well with each other. And it's very phenomenal what's happened and what we've been able to do as far as that's concerned. And I'm proud of it. I really am.
Good, good. This is a question that really anyone on the panel can answer. Just make sure you identify who you are so we can know who's speaking. Are there certain religious rituals, rites, practices that are so sacred in your tradition that you wouldn't practice them on Second Life, which is, after all, a cartoon? For instance, I was curious with Mohammed. I mean, which way is Mecca on in Second Life?
Should I ask that? Answer the question, yes?
Yes.
Yes. Well, that's talking. That's a problem, but I think it were solved in that way that the person that built the first mosque, he lives in Spain, and then he thought that Mecca is eastward, so then he built the mosque eastward. So we have Mecca is eastward from Second Life. That is all the mosques that I know of have the direction of Qibla in the east.
Mm-hmm. Are there practices, prayers that you do in real life, Mohammed, that you do not practice in Second Life? Is there a problem with certain things being too sacred for Second Life?
We have a discussion about that. Personally, I think that you can do anything in Second Life because it's like telephone calling to each other, and so it's no problem there. But I think that prayers and so should be done in the real life. You couldn't pray in Second Life and say that now I have prayed the obligatory prayers. So you must do them in real life too. And then we have, there is not any, some Muslims think that we shouldn't pray in the Second Life. And also we have some people who have embraced Islam, who have converted to Islam in the virtual world. And of course you can discuss, is this valid or not? We have not reached any conclusion on that. And also we have discussed if you marry in the Muslim way in Second Life, is this valid than in real life? So we are just playing around, and we have no special decision on that. Thank you.
Any other panelists want to speak to that?
I would like to.
Just jump in, somebody.
Okay, this is Beth Odets. I wanted to share that I've been very, very cautious when it comes to creating religious services. We do not have full-fledged religious services because in terms of my faith, I believe that there is a line of respect for things that we just cannot accomplish here. One of those things is the literal gathering of human beings together, because this is a virtual avatar world. And so in that sense and in that spirit, I've created several compromises. One of the ones that I usually give an example of is in a real-life synagogue. you wouldn't have the ark where the Sefer Torah scroll is being shown. It would not be open, because when you open it during a service, you rise out of respect. However, when I built it, I was thinking, well, if they can't see what's inside, what's the point of having it? So I made the doors semi-transparent, and therefore you can see what is inside, and at the same time it's not disrespecting the cultural aspect of it. There are certain prayers that I would never attempt to do, but I don't think this hinders the Jewish community and our ability to be strong, to function as a community in Second Life. It basically strengthens, our desire to go and do it in real life.
Mm-hmm. Lisa, did you have something you wanted to say on that point?
Well, certainly in Roman Catholic and in many other Christian traditions, there's a strong sacramental sense of worship. That when we gather to pray, one of the things that we do is we share bread and wine. We commemorate, we represent, we reenact the last of Jesus and his disciples. I'm curious more than anything. Certainly, even sacramentally minded Christians pray in many other ways. But how do folks in Second Life experience sacramental life, or is it simply something that can't quite translate? So if anyone has comments or experience in that, I'd be very interested to learn.
Well, if I could jump in there, this is Franco.
Mm-hmm.
In our faith, our services are made up of various different events throughout the service, starting off with music and dancing, followed by a class given by a senior devotee or teacher, followed by prayers, followed by what's called prasadam, which is taking of devotional food. Now, pretty much the only thing that we can't practice within Second Life is the taking of devotional food. But what we have had is a number of devotees at different locations around the world, all attending services, all at the same time here in Second Life, and all partaking of prasadam within their own home. So there's very little within our faith that we can't follow within Second Life. We have classes and the services live from the temple, broadcast to us from Los Angeles every day. We have classes available all the time. We have many devotees that come in and simply listen to the classes and use the temple specifically for devotional use. We have one devotee that's currently making what's known as a kirtan and bhajan tent, where devotees can listen to devotional music and dance and so on within that area. So, different to many other faiths, we have absolutely no problem at all with following our religion within Second Life. The other side of it, of course, is that on our area, we refuse to allow people there that are naked or semi-naked, that have alcohol or tobacco products on them, that have drug products on them, anything like that, which is clearly displayed when people enter the area, because they're things that our faith is totally against. So there's different ways that people can use Second Life depending on their faith and the way that they follow their faith.
Interesting.
And I could actually, this is Tom, I could throw waving. I can
Yes, Tom.
make a sort of a general comment that I think you see coming out of all these comments is that I would disagree with Don's characterization of Second Life as a cartoon, even though its graphics capabilities aren't the best. What makes virtual worlds is that they're places, that they stay when your individual computer comes on or off. And most religions, place and place-making is very important. And I think one thing that you see coming out of all these comments is that you're going to see a range of kinds of religious practices happening. There might, for instance, be Jewish groups that create a semi-visible Torah, as in the case we've heard, or one that's completely hidden, or one that's completely visible. We'll see a range of debates and practices emerge online in these virtual worlds, which reflects diversity in the actual world as well. And I think one of the most important things that we can learn from Second Life is in what ways have our actual lives been virtual all along. It's no coincidence that the word for avatar comes from Hindu religious practice, or that the root word of virtual is the same root as virtue. There are ways in which we come into Second Life with a notion of the virtual already with us, which isn't the exact same thing as the spiritual, but does share some things with it. And I think looking into the next 1 to 5 years or whatever in virtual worlds, it will be very interesting to try and keep away from sort of normative statements about what should be in terms of various forms of religious belief and practice, and as the anthropologist in me would like to do, try and participate and observe in the very interesting range of experiments and forms of community that are virtual but are real, which is once again why I feel that although real is a very common everyday term people use in talking about virtual world versus real world, the danger of it is that it leads us to assume that our real lives don't have computers or the internet in them or anything virtual about them. And many aspects of religious practice in Second Life are very, very.
Anyone else have a comment on that before we move on?
Yes, this is Kenneth, or O10.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that one confusion what I think is a confusion is people hear virtual and what they think is imaginary. Because I could be a dragon, and we all know that dragons are imaginary. So yes, the virtual world can incorporate the imaginary, but I can also have conversations with people. I can develop friendships. I can pray for them, which in a Quaker sense is often, in fact, I would say usually something that happens internally, not any particular outward form. And those things are all real, so that it's a danger to characterize a virtual world as only one thing. One of its gifts is that it can include the imaginary and the playful and the intentionally not real, as well as relational aspects that are totally real.
One of the interesting things about the internet and religion, going back to the early days of the internet, is that it's a sort of a chaotically democratic medium, even in Second Life or just websites in general. Looks like I'm falling asleep here, but I'm not. Okay. I put myself to sleep with that question. Okay. Anyway, what I was saying was, it seems like there's an issue of authoritative religious truth on Second Life. Anyone can call themselves a Catholic, for instance, and say this is Catholic, or this is Jewish, or this is Mormon. And it's kind of interesting that the smaller alternative or minority religions seem to have more of a presence in Second Life and on the internet. Anyone want to speak to that, the question of authoritative religious teaching, and also sort of the democracy, the democratic aspect of you can kind of call yourself anything or say that you believe anything in Second Life?
I can. This is Beth Odette. I have, in the past year, since the beginning of the synagogue, there have been people approaching me several times a week that just joined Second Life, that immediately want to jump in and run classes or give sermons. And I consistently have to explain, or constantly have to explain, that hang out, get to know what this is about, let me get to know you, because in Second Life, like you said, you could be a dragon. There's no way to know. even if somebody is Jewish, for example, how do I know, what their teachings would be based on, and if it would mesh with what I feel is appropriate? And in Second Life, there's an amount of time that it takes, along with, I think, when you're setting these kinds of things up, it's important to go outside of Second Life and verify and speak to people so that the communication doesn't become distorted. Second Life has the ability to falsely give people a sense of intimacy too quickly. And when it comes to religion, we cannot be more cautious about how we approach it. So.
This is Frank, and I'd agree totally with what Beth said. One of the things that we did within the Hare Krishna group is to use the Second Life tools that they give us to the best advantage that we could. And by saying that, the way we created our group was that different permissions are set for different areas of the group. If someone wishes to become a devotee or is currently a devotee, then the first thing we do is check with the temple that they're a member of. And if they are a member of that temple, then they're entitled to use the devotee tag above their head. If not, they're given what's known as an unverified devotee tag. If they're slightly higher rank within our movement, they may become a builder or a helper or an associate, or like myself and Violet in the audience, a community leader. In that way, we've been able to ensure that those people that are walking around Second Life that have a devotee tag over their head are in fact devotees. Now that doesn't mean that somebody can't go out and start a group and put the same tag over their head. But by using the tools within Second Life, as everyone should know how to use them, you can check very quickly whether someone is really a member of that particular group or has just created a group that day to put that tag above their head. And so far it's been very successful for us, very successful indeed.
Good, good. Anyone else before we'll move on? Okay, now some religions proselytize, evangelize more than others. We don't have anyone from the evangelical Christian community, who of course are known for their evangelistic work. We don't have any Mormons here, or Jehovah's Witnesses, who often will knock on doors in real life. I don't know if they do that in Second Life or not. But I wanted to talk to you, or ask you about that, about evangelizing, spreading the faith in Second Life. Now, I know that at least back in the 60s and 70s, the Hare Krishnas would, I don't know if evangelize is the word, but they would go out and try to bring people into the fold, appearing at various festivals and on the street. Some of the other faiths may be less concerned with that. But what is your experience about people, say, converting to your faith? Or do any of you have an example of someone converting to your faith in Second Life than in real life? Or some thoughts on evangelization in Second Life?
Well, if I can field that again, this is Frank once again. Yes, we've had a number of people that have in fact come along to the temple, sat and listened to numbers of classes and decided they've wanted to become devotees. And the way we've handled that is we pass them across to whatever temple happens to be closest to them geographically and put it in their hands to make contact with that temple in First Life. And we've had, I think the last count was 5 or 6 people that had taken up becoming a devotee after finding out about the faith within Second Life.
Anyone else have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, this is Otant At the Quaker meeting, we've had several people come. I taught a 4-week course, and we've had some Bible study sessions. But we've had people show up who usually, the typical non-Quaker who shows up says that they've been interested in Quakers or curious, and it's the phenomenon of while the computer screen can draw you into a virtual world in a way that's different and more engaging than a website, it's also not meeting somebody face-to-face in your first life. And so the personal risk, I think, is lower. And so it seems to be easier for people to show up and just see what's happening, see what it's like, talk to us. The fact that it's on Saturday, well, for me it's Saturday early afternoon, but that it's not on Sunday means that if people already belong to another church, or they can, or no church, but they want to sleep in on Sunday mornings, this doesn't conflict with that. Coming to meeting in Second Life doesn't mean that they're not going to whatever else they would be doing in their first life.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what we're going to do now, I'd like to ask any of the panelists if they have a question for the panel, and then we're going to open it up to the audience for some questions. So are there any other panelists that have a question or to spur the discussion here? Just want to give you all a chance to participate.
I'd like to know what everybody, this is Frank again, I'd like to know what everyone on the panel's thoughts are regarding the ban on gaming within Second Life, whether they're behind it or against it.
Any of them have thoughts on gambling in Second Life?
Well,
no?
This is O10. If I were being a good, consistent Quaker, I would say it's great that they've banned it because gambling, the impulse to get something without effort or without an exchange of value is immoral. Personally, I'm not that excited about gambling one way or another, and so for me, I didn't really think of it as a religious question. I think of it more as wondering in what ways Linden Lab is covering their behind.
Mm-hmm. I actually have a question that my wife wanted me to ask. My wife doesn't have a cell phone. She doesn't like the computer. She uses it when she has to. She doesn't even like TV that much. And I was trying to explain Second Life to her, and she had this puzzled look and asked me, well, what's wrong with real life? Any thoughts on that?
Novels?
This is Beth Odette, and I would like to share, actually, on that question. One of the amazing things that happens in our community here, the Jewish community, is that people from all over the world who either are Jewish and live in a place where they can't be around a lot of other Jewish people, there is a place for them to go and be with people and have that feeling of community. In their real life, they may have to hide their identity, although we don't come across that many people with that. But another thing that happens regularly at our community is that people come who are not Jewish that say, I have a relative in my history, in my family history, and that was Jewish, and I'd like to learn about it. And to be welcomed in with open arms. Judaism is not an evangelistic religion. We welcome people. We don't do any kind of conversion activities. If I would handle it the way that Franco said, I would refer people to a synagogue and say, this is something you need to take up outside. But the fact that people can come together, for example, in real life, my real life mother comes into Second Life, and at the candle lighting ceremony at the synagogue, one of the ones on Fridays, I get to stand next to my mother, who is 1,600 miles away. And that's just amazing, the ability to do that. There's nothing wrong with real life. And if your real life gets in totally enveloped by your Second Life, that's not healthy either. There has to be a good balance between the two if you're involved in Second Life in order to make it work, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else have thoughts on that?
Well, I think this is Tom Bukowski over here at the end. I mean,
yes,
I think the question about, why Second Life extends to why use email when you can send a letter, why use the internet when you can go to a store, why drive in a car when you can take a horse. I mean, whenever new technologies come out, there's often a tendency to overestimate their short-term impact and underestimate their long-term impact. Second Life isn't going to change everything. We're never going to be spending, I think, 100% of our lives online. But not too long ago, it was 0%, and it's going to be a lot more than zero in the years to come. And I think Beth just gave some great examples of new possibilities that a technology like a virtual world makes possible. And I think in many ways, just as happened at the beginning years of the Internet, we got into these technologies with the mental ideas from an earlier age, and we don't yet know what to make of them. And many of the newest and most exciting possibilities are going to only emerge once people are spending time in these virtual worlds. And I think it will be very interesting and exciting. And just like any technology, there can be dangers as well. But I would try and steer people away from either wild optimism or wild pessimism and really try to track what's going to be emerging, because I think many aspects of it will be really, really interesting and good.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Well, maybe it's time for us to open this up to the audience. I think the way we're going to handle this is, Kara, could you explain how we're going to handle this?
Well, right now we have about a few questions, 3 or 4 questions, and then if anybody has any other questions, go ahead and send them to me. We'll take them in the order received.
You want to just go ahead and do the question yourself? Ask them? Okay, I will ask the question. Okay. Okay, here's a question. While we in Second Life have freedom to have relationships as we choose, Linden Labs has given us a partner function. How do the panelists feel about such official support of virtual partnerships? Anyone? I guess
no one else has got no one else.
I've officiated 2 weddings in the last 2 years, and I don't consider it an official thing. I do believe that in Second Life we have some people that play real life and some people that role play. And in my personal opinion, I haven't consulted with the community on it, but in my personal opinion, I believe that marriage or partnership within Second Life, if there is no actual corresponding partnership in real life, is more of a role play, in my opinion. I don't have a problem with it, although it does cross some ethical questions you have to ask. Are these people married to other people in First Life? Because, earlier we talked about, the fact that intimacy happens so quickly in Second Life in all areas. And you can't turn off Second Life and not care anymore. So it's a tough question, but if it's not, I don't have a problem with it. At the same time, it's not something I believe I would participate in personally, having had the experience.
Mm-hmm. Any other thoughts on that before we move on to another question?
Well, yeah, this is Franco. I myself and my fiance are partnered here in Second Life, and we'll be officiating at a Second Life Hare Krishna wedding in a few weeks' time in Second Life. Our opinion on partnerships in Second Life is very, very simple. If you are partners in real life, there is no reason why you shouldn't be in Second Life. If you don't have a partner in real life and you take a partner in Second Life, we would expect you to be honourable to your partner in Second Life, just as you would be in First Life. So it's really quite simple to us.
Here's another question. This is actually about a question I asked earlier about conflict between Jews and Muslims and interfaith relations in Second Life versus real life or actual life. This person says, isn't it more of a correct statement to say the conflict remains with many religions and the Muslim religion? Well, there's a good point there. I don't know if anyone wants to address that. I think maybe Muhammad already did in his answer, saying that some other folks have given them more trouble than Jewish people or others. Have any thoughts on that, Muhammad, or have we already addressed that?
No, I didn't get the question. All right, what was the question?
Well, I guess the question is about conflicts between the Muslim faith and other religions in Second Life, and I think we already really talked about that.
Yes, I have. During the 6 months I have been here in Second Life, I have never had any conflict with other religions. We're just curious on each other.
Well, that's good. Here's a question. How has practicing your faith in Second Life brought you closer to God? Anyone on that?
This is Beth again. I have to say, developing one of the Jewish communities in Second Life has been an ultimately unbelievable opportunity for me to personally grow and experience. When we have to prepare for holidays, I do research. When we light the candles, there's that sense of community. Before we did this, I didn't like candles in real life, and now I do. There's no way that you can come into Second Life and live a religious or a religious atmosphere, and then again turn it off and walk away from it and not have it be a part of you. And I consider myself a much more religious person, not necessarily as observant, but more religious and connected to my own faith than I was a year ago. And I wouldn't trade that for anything. I mean, it's incredible. And I think a lot of people have had a similar experience, at least in my group.
Yeah, this is Franco. I'd have to agree with Beth wholeheartedly with that. One of the main things in our faith is the provision of knowledge to other people, and Second Life has given us the ability to provide anyone that wants it with information and knowledge. If somebody wants information, they can come to our area and they can get it free. If someone wants to sit down and listen to a class or a lecture, they can do it free. And the single most made comment by people that come to our area is they'll ask us a question about the faith, and then they'll say to us immediately after, I never would have asked that of a Hare Krishna in the street. And I would say that we've had hundreds of people in Second Life that have said exactly the same thing. They would never approach a Krishna in the street, but they'll come to our area and ask us all the questions about the faith that they care to ask, because in Second Life, everybody's anonymous. And I think that's the biggest bonus to people that want to get knowledge and find out about different faiths, is they can do it without any peer group pressure, without any problems from parents, without any problems from family. They can come into Second Life, they can go to all the different faiths and religions in the world and find out which one's best for them. And that's a bonus for all religions.
And if I could chime in, this is Lisa. My question, based on that, is really almost the opposite. Many religious traditions have a very strong sense of social action, social justice, care of the neighbor in their ordinary needs, food, shelter, clothing. Is there a way in which, well, I agree that Second Life gives people an opportunity to explore and begin to learn about different faith traditions. Is there any corresponding impetus that once you get to know, okay, how are you living this out in your real life? How do you take it to the streets, whether it's the Second Life streets or the First Life streets? That would be my hesitation about Second Life religion. Again, knowing next to nothing as a newbie here, is does it translate into real change in people's lives and care for other people in the real world?
Well, I can say that at least
about that.
I'm sorry?
This is OTENT, and this is not a part of a religious activity, but one of my for most of this weekend was participating in the Second Life Relay for Life, which raised $31 million Linden dollars, which comes out to about $115,000 for the American Cancer Society, mostly through parties and just giving money away and creating things. Builders and scripters create things that they then sell, and the money goes to the Second Life Relay for Life. So for me, there is no question that good work and caring for one another in First Life ways is in fact possible and already present and a part of Second Life. Whether or not it will be taken up with vigor and conviction by religious communities, I don't know. But I can say that in Second Life, people express their values and go to considerable effort to make other people's lives better.
Kara has a question that she wanted me to ask, or do you want to ask it yourself, Kara?
I think you should go ahead.
Okay. Kara asks, what does it mean to confess, pray, or meditate in Second Life? Is it real, whatever that is? I added the whatever that is, but that's an interesting question. I was thinking about that myself. Is the experience of prayer for you different in Second Life than in real life? And if so, or meditation, and if so, how?
If I can take that up, this is Franco. In our faith, part of our ritual is to chant the Hare Krishna mantra 108 times multiplied by 16 times every day. To that end, we have recordings that are broadcast on the area and meditation cushions for people to sit on. And it surprised us quite substantially, actually, how many people that are devotees turn up and use the area to meditate and at the same time are chanting their rounds. So, yes, prayer within Second Life can work for our religion. For others, I don't know. But for ours, yes, it certainly does.
Anyone else?
This is Beth Odette. I said earlier, I feel there's a very, very, very important line when it comes to the Jewish faith involving what we really can do as far as prayer, because part of what is important about prayer in Judaism is being together physically in a room. There are certain prayers, for example, that you cannot do unless you are physically with a minyan or a group of 10. But what I think we try and do is Second Life has the amazing ability to allow us to recreate a feeling, and if we know what that feeling is in real life and can create it in Second Life, then we can take it back from Second Life into our first lives again. And the feeling that we really create in our area is one of community, of friendship and bonds, and to be around other people. It's a very, very strong community feeling. You almost cannot ignore it when you're there. And in that sense, we do not pray, but we create everything that we possibly can. And as far as helping in real life, I would just add that we do both. In Second Life, one of the things that we do is personally welcome everybody, talk to everybody, answer everybody's questions, and I think that does provide a real life service to those people. Like Franco had said, people feel like it's okay to come where they never would have done it in real life. And that does provide a real-life educational service. Along with that, the Two Life newspaper provides the residents, Jewish and non-Jewish, the information on what is happening within the Jewish community in Second Life. There, at the Western Wall Kotel area, there is a donation box, and that money does go toward real-life Jewish organizations. So,
okay, listen, I think we're going to wrap this up now. Is that right? Yeah. Well, I'd like to thank you all for coming. This has been a fascinating discussion. I also like to remind you all that after that right now we're going to invite people not to leave the island or our area, but to walk around and look at our tents and speak to the reporters who worked on these projects. Also, you can go to our our website Real Life or Second Life? I'm not sure what that is. There you go, Tom. Anyway, that's www.newsinitiative.org. And we're also going to do something after this panel, which I think is the real religion in Second Life, which is have a party. And we have Bob Kalo, who's known as the guitar man around here, who's going to be playing his guitar, and through the magic of this medium, it will be streamed into all kinds of alternative universes. So once again, thank you all for coming. You've been a very attentive audience. I guess you have. I haven't really been able to see you, but thanks very much for coming, and stick around and join us and explore our tents and have a good time. Thanks again.